Batminions, it's that Batman chick coming to you not live from my room. My dog's here, my hair is down. Whoa! That must mean that this is a very special video. Yeah, indeed. I just want to apologize for not getting in a video last week. I was sick. I like to draw too much, read a lot. Yeah, I just wasn't able to get to even attempting to make a video. This episode is about my top 10 favorite Batman characters that are actually all villains. Top 10 favorite Batman villains. Let's do this thing. Number 10 is Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman. Batman's occasional lover who grew up on the streets or is a gorgeous socialite, really just depending on the continuity. Catwoman tends to dress up as a cat, break into people's houses, banks, and jewelers, and take the goods that they're supplying. She's a part of the Gotham City Sirens, a group of villains consisting of herself, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. The weapon that she is seen most using is a whip. Number 9, Pamela Lillian Isley, aka Poison Ivy. Another Gotham City siren. Her kiss is deadly and she can control plants with her mind. She was a former student at Gotham University, but when an accident happened in her lab where some chemicals spilled on her, she got plant powers. She doesn't necessarily have any material weapon, but she can control plants with her mind. Maybe plants are her weapon? Number 8 is Jason Todd, also known as the Red Hood. Jason Todd was the second Robin and was killed off through a vote that DC held. But he ended up being brought back to life as the Red Hood. And it's really under debate whether he's a bad guy or not. His official occupation, as stated by DC, is a vigilante for hire. But he and Batman do get into quite a few conflicts, even though they work together at one point in time. Most of their conflicts come out of the fact that Jason Todd uses a gun, which is something that Batman would never teach anybody about. Whoops! Number 7 is Waylon Jones, also known as Killer Croc. He's all big and buff and fit, and I envy that so much. But what I don't envy is his horrible skin condition that causes him to look like he has scales. His said scaly skin has caused a lot of bullying issues for him, and in a mental breakdown, he filed his teeth down to a point and went on a murderous rampage. Now a serial killer and a cannibal, his weapon is mostly his brawn and his teeth. Number 6 is the Joker. The Joker is arguably one of Batman's most ambitious foes, and no one knows his name. He tries to make Gotham laugh through his, jokes, which usually involve killing people with a toxin. It causes your face to be permanently scarred with a smile. Isn't that fun? His most common backstory is that he fell into a vat of toxins at Ace Chemicals. But the Joker himself stated that he would prefer his background to be multiple choice if he would have one. Some of his weapons include an acid flower, a toy gun, and razor-sharp playing cards, as well as Joker toxin. Number 5, Jervis Tetch, or the Mad Hatter, Gotham version. Before I go on, I'm gonna slap a big spoiler alert on this. Whoops. Showing up randomly in an episode of Gotham, marketing himself as a hypnotist, Jervis Tetch is really on the search for his sister Alice. Why is Alice Tetch in Gotham, you may ask? Because she's trying to get away from Jervis. Apparently, when Alice Tetch was younger, Jervis would chain her up and would hypnotize her and try to look at the deepest recesses of her mind. That means that their minds were connected. He had some, incestual thoughts, but let's try not to get too much into that. The Mad Hatter is one of my favorites just because of his pure craziness and his willingness to do anything to get his sister back, or to get back the people who killed his sister. His weapon is his mind control, and a gun. That too. Going on now. Number 4 is Victor Fries, also known as Mr. Freeze. Guess you could say he's cool as ice. Are you kidding me? You're using ice puns? Yeah, I'm thoroughly disappointed in you. You should be. To understand Mr. Freeze, you must understand who Nora is. Nora is a woman who has been cryogenically frozen. Now, in some continuities, Nora is Victor's wife. In others, she's just a random lady who Mr. Freeze is strangely infatuated with. While trying to find a way to unfreeze Nora, some of that cryogenic stuff that you just have lying around got all up inside of him, and now he can't survive at temperatures that are above freezing, with his new body temperature being 23 degrees. And now he has to wear a nice, fun, classy, specialized suit so that he doesn't die. And he also has to wear specialized goggles so that his eyes don't freeze. That wasn't a pun. His eyes will literally freeze if he takes off those goggles. Mr. Freeze's weapon is a giant freeze gun that he uses to freeze things. These aren't puns anymore! Number 3 is Dr. Harleen Frances Quinzel, also known as Harley Quinn. In Harleen's teenage years, she was an amazing gymnast, which scored her a scholarship to Gotham University. And while at Gotham University, her grades were a little iffy. Mind you, she wasn't going to get them back up by studying. Interpret that any way you want. After passing all of her classes, she decided to get an internship at Arkham, which is where they let Harleen interview the Joker on multiple occasions. All ever in the history of life. Okay, I just have one problem with this. Why in the world would any sensible asylum director, a first-year intern, work with somebody who is a murderous psychopath that has been known to manipulate people, get him out of Arkham? I'm dumbfounded. During their sessions, the Joker told her a phony story about how his dad used to abuse him, and she ended up falling in love with him. Soon after, he broke out and came back all injured and stuff, which drove her more insane than she was already being driven. She donned her noticeable red and black diamond-clad costume and broke him out, and now they don't live happily ever after because she's constantly abused by him. Dr. Harleen Frances Quinzel's weapon? Giant mallet. Boy! Number 2, Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow. This poor little baby. I don't like talking about his backstory because it makes me sad. Scarecrow's backstory kind of varies with the continuity, but my favorite is the New 52. Let's talk about that. In the New 52's version of Scarecrow, Scarecrow was bullied as a child, non-stop. And it was no better when he got home because his dad used to inject him with a fear toxin that was just in the works. So in other words, Scarecrow was his dad's guinea pig. He never truly got over this, though, because he went on to become a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum and experimented with his own version of the fear toxin on his patients. Maybe they should just shut down Arkham Asylum. I mean, other psychiatrists seem to be going crazy, so whoops. When he was found out, he was immediately imprisoned in Arkham Asylum himself. I love him so much because his backstory gets me right in the feels, right in the heart pit. Scarecrow's awesome weapon are fear toxins that he uses through this thing on his arm that sprays out, but he also has needles on his hand where he can pretty much just grab you and inject you with his fear toxin. It's actually kind of cool. And finally, give a big round of a drum roll. I meant applause. Crap. Edward Nygma, also known as the Riddler and considered one of Batman's lamest superheroes, other than the Condiment King. As a kid, the Riddler's father used to abuse him. So, when there was a prize for somebody who could figure out a certain puzzle in under a minute, Riddler broke into his school, found the answer sheet, and studied it non-stop up until the contest. Of course, he won the contest, and his prize was a book of riddles. And when he told his dad about his big win, his dad accused him of cheating because he thought that he could never be anything more than a moron. Poor Riddler. What? Instead of getting disheartened by this, he decided to just study his book of riddles. He could figure out all of life's answers and finally show his dad that he wasn't a moron. This poor little baby. But when his infatuation with riddles got a little out of hand, he was thrown in Arkham. Now he terrorizes Gotham as the Riddler. The Riddler's weapon is this awesome question mark cane that has all sorts of trick buttons and such in it. Oh, yeah, and his riddles too. That's kind of his deal.